Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Browns Morning Brew, part of the Bearded Browns podcast. We have a very special show planned up for today, and as you guys can tell, my voice is wiped out. Same with Logan; he's not here with us today, but he is sick as well. So I'm gonna try to push through this, and you guys are gonna have to do some talking for me today. But we're gonna get through this, right?
Word.
I was waiting for Gary to do his infamous barking during the introduction. That's why I was kind of wiped my mind away for a second there. I was gonna, wait and let you get your interruption over with, but here we are. But today, guys, we are going to go over a new Brown signing that happened yesterday, some Sanders gossip, Jason Lloyd talk, and some Gary's new hatred towards the Ravens. Obviously, we dislike the Ravens in general, but they've done some shady things here in the past and as well just recently. And then we got a trade rumor that's not we'll talk about it when we get to that. But ladies and gentlemen,
never a dull moment.
Yeah, never a dull moment with this franchise. We have a great one for you guys this morning. We're going to welcome in one of the best breakdown guys in Cleveland, Coach Lance Reisland. Lance is a Brown analyst with the Cleveland, with Cleveland.com, and also the Plain Dealer, as well as you hear him on 92.3. The Fan, with the Fan Tailgate Show, and a former coach who brings real film room knowledge to every conversation. This morning, we are going to dive into the Browns free agency and where this team could head as the draft gets closer and closer. Coach Riz, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey,
absolutely, man. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. I'm doing well. I appreciate you guys having me on this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you. First question, why are you a Browns fan? No, I'm kidding.
It can be tough at times. There's no question, right? You got to stick through the goods and bads, right? But right now we're definitely in the down cycle, no question.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's brutal, but I think, as a Browns fan, we always have skepticism going into the season, and we always have hope. So this year, I want to say the last 2 or 3 years, maybe I didn't have so much hope, but this year with the coaching change and everything, I do have some hope, and that's kind of where I want to base the first question off with. Coaching staff change. What do you think that's going to do this year, and how long do you think until we see some culture change back in Cleveland?
Well, for me, as a former coach and learned everything about football from my dad, culture is not what you say, it's what you do. So they got to go in there. It's got to be consistent in everything they do every day. And it starts in the off season and people being on time and being attentive in meetings. And I'm not saying that didn't happen before. In fact, I'm not an anti-Stefanski fan. What I think is going to happen is Kevin Stefanski is very system-based. He's very analytical. He's very, we are going to run what we run regardless of what we have. Where Monken is a little bit more players over plays, which is something, I've always believed in. And I think a lot of high school coaches, especially because you get a new crop almost every year. So I think what you're going to see is just a guy who's going to maximize whatever he has. He's a guy who's 60 years old, so he's a guy who's not really going to be tentative in his thoughts and what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. So I would assume, and I would hope immediately the idea that I said this yesterday, the idea that they're building towards the future. My dad always taught me if you think too much about the future, you're usually not a part of it. So they got to worry about winning week one, and it's the quarterback conversation, it's the wide receiver conversation, all these conversations that we all have. It all comes down to what are you doing to win? And that's what culture is. Are you doing, not that you win every game, but are you expected to win every game? Are you telling your players they should be expected to win? Are you preparing that way? That's what I want to see. That's what I look forward to in camp. And once again, sometimes it's just a new voice. I'm lucky enough to get to see practice almost every day. They did a lot of good things. The message wasn't getting through, and that's part of coaching as well. So I think a new voice would just help everybody.
What do you think was the reason why that message wasn't getting through? Was it just the amount of time that he was here? Was the voice getting stale? Was it the personalities in the room?
Well, if you look back to, the one thing that I always notice is that Kevin is always really his answers are the same every day. And people don't like that. As a coach, I did, because he took the blame for everything. He let it all roll downhill on him. And it wasn't all his fault. He was part of it too. But it wasn't all him. But as a head coach, you accept that. As a head coach, you understand what you sign up for. So I think one of the issues was when, for example, when Joe Flacco got traded and he came out, and that was the first time in a long time I've heard Kevin say he had no idea. He didn't think Flacco was going anywhere. And for me, that tells you that the alignment is not what it needs to be from top to bottom. And I don't care if it's high school, if you're talking superintendent to AD to principal to coaches. In the NFL, it's got to be owner to general manager to coach. Everybody's got to be aligned with the same plan, or you get this. And then you get people who turn each way and have their favorites. And then when you lose, nothing's exposed when you're winning. Everything is easier when you're winning. When you lose, everything gets exposed, and that's what ends up happening. And, Kevin had some limitations like we all do as coaches, but he only, as a coach, you can only do what you know how to do. Everybody wanted Kevin to be something he wasn't. Kevin is who he is, and it's not always what we like, but I always admired it because he never stepped outside of his box. And whether I liked it or not, which sometimes I did not, I admired it as a coach because he wasn't phony and he was who he was. And unfortunately, when you're losing, those are the kind of coaches you can attack because they almost look like they don't care at times, which is really not the case. The message just wasn't getting through, and it could be years there. And 6 years in the NFL is an eternity. So at any level of football anymore. So yeah, I just think it was time for a change for both sides.
It seemed like for a lot of the years here that Barry and Stefanski were kind of like sharing one head. And then in the last maybe like year and a half, we saw them split a little bit here. Where do you see the alignment between Barry and Monken here? Do you think that they're going to be kind of like aligned the way that we saw Stefanski at the beginning, or do you see two different kind of personalities here?
Well, I think you're going to see a little bit different. You're going to see a little contrast, and I think that's okay. And when you think about what happened with Kevin and Andrew, I think a lot of it had to do with personnel and maybe quarterback position and what everybody thinks. And the other thing you had is that both of those guys are very they don't let you know what they're thinking. They're not transparent. Where Monken's pretty transparent already in what he's thinking. And I think at 60 years old, I think he's going to have a strong belief in what he wants from his coaches, who he's hiring. Scheme he wants on both sides of the ball, from special teams to goal line to red zone, every situation you can think about. He's 60 years old, so he's been around a long time. He understands the game. So I would think there'd be a little bit more pushback from Monken than there would have been from Kevin Stefanski, just because of the age and just because they didn't come in together. And now you're going to get that. And sometimes that contrast helps. When you sit and you say, as a head coach, regardless of any level, you would like that guy to have a lot of say in who he's putting on the field because he's the guy coaching those guys every day. So, we'll find out very quick when you see who's out there and how he answers questions and things like that. I'm looking forward to as much as you guys. So I would hope there's a little bit more contrast because I think sometimes that can help.
Absolutely.
Okay. I want to go ahead and we're going to move on to free agency. And how do you feel the Browns to this point have handled that free agency? I personally think that with the holes that we have had, I think they've done fairly well. I think I couldn't ask for more of them for what our needs were, but I was just wanting to see your opinion on that after the, Titus Howard, Zion Johnson, Quincy Williams, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, first of all, up front, I like what they did, and you can kind of see the mantra and kind of the attitude and where they're going with their offensive line. For years, Browns fans, including myself, as a coach and a fan, we've been used to guys like Wyatt Teller, Posick when he was healthy, Batonio, even Jack Conklin when he was healthy. And people don't understand Jack Conklin is a great pro. He just couldn't stay healthy. But these are guys that knock people down. They vertically displace people backwards. And not all linemen have to be super physical sometimes to get that job done. So the guys they've brought in are guys who can play multiple positions. They have really good feet. But they're not guys who are going to maul you. They're guys who understand the game of football. They're guys who can run gap schemes, zone schemes. And what I like is, Monken is a players over plays. And sometimes we just think of quarterbacks, receivers, tight ends, and running backs when we think that. That also is very true if you think about the offensive line. If you think about what Monken did against the Browns are a penetrating front, lots of traps, lots of counters, lots of crunch, allowing these Browns defensive linemen to get upfield and use that to their advantage. And then you go when they face a two-gap team, they more zone. And so it's very week to week. It's focusing on what these guys do well and what the other team doesn't. And I think that's important, and that's a Monken thing. So offensive line guys, though they're not guys who will knock you back all the time, very skilled, good feet, good angles, good pad level. They understand. And when I watch them, they understand what football is, meaning they're not just knocking the guy down in front. They understand if it's an odd front, an even front, where the backer's supposed to be. And then I'm a big fan of Quincy Williams. Obviously, I'm a little biased because I broke down his film so many times, but this is a guy last year played for a terrible team, got benched, and that's what everybody's pushback has been against me. I just know if Quincy Williams in this scheme, when they lost Devin Bush, I thought Devin Bush had a heck of a year, but part of that was because the scheme really fit him. He got to play downhill, and you didn't have to read as much. Just play with your hair on fire. Well, there's no one in the NFL, that you can go out and kind of mimic that as much as Quincy Williams. This is a guy that's really, really athletic. He's good in space, but he plays with his hair on fire, and he's really good downhill, and he's a good tackler. So I think he's going to be, I'm not sure, an upgrade, but I don't think there's going to be much drop off there. And then the other thing that he does that I think is underrated is that he's going to take some responsibility off of Carson Schlesinger as a young player. He's very vocal. He's very emotional. He can be another green dot guy if you need him. So I think that's going to help Carson Schlesinger too. So I think what they've done, and then obviously, bringing back Tevin Jenkins inside, I think he's got to stay inside at guard. There's a big difference for me when I watch him at a guard than at tackle. He's got to stay inside at guard, but I like what they did, and we'll see what they do in the draft. But for me, I think it opens up now to possibly getting some game changers instead of filling holes, because when you're so bad on one side of the ball, which we all have been in the past, you kind of stretch and you're like, we got to fill these holes, and filling holes doesn't win games. Game changers do. So I think what they've done is they've allowed themselves to now go pick guys that they think can really help them win games.
Yeah, I agree with you there because, I was looking at these guys too, and I hate to say it's like middle of the road as far as some of the linemen. They're good, and I think what I really like is with Elton Jenkins and some of the other guys here is their abilities to move around, which is good, and I'm a DeJuan Jones guy, but DeJuan can't seem to, last year he got rolled up on. It happens, but I just haven't seen DeJuan a whole season yet. And I always tell these guys, I like watching DeJuan, and he to me, he's always going to be TJ Watt's daddy. But I was wondering maybe they can move him maybe into like a guard or something like that and move him around. And like you said too, it's all going to see how they do in the draft, because I'm really big if they stick to their guns and they're trying to get this line together. I'm hoping they actually draft at 6. They get a top stud lineman in here. So that's kind of like where I'm at with you. Like you said too. Now Quincy Williams, I was watching some of his film. He's still got wheels. The dude's got wheels, and I'm like, because we're gonna need that. And is he a Devin Bush? Well, no, he's not. He's Quincy Williams. And my thing with Devin Bush was, okay, I wanted him to get signed back, okay, but he didn't. So I don't live back there. That's in the rear view. So I'm already looking forward. I'm like, well, I'm looking at Quincy Williams now. But I also was playing, maybe it took Devin that long to get that success that we wanted out of him. Maybe that was just a fluke, though. You never know. So if we did sign him, there could have always been that fluke that maybe he wasn't going to be as good as he was. But I thought he was coming into his own. But
and I think too, like, I lived in Chicago for about 10 years, and the Bears have this thing where they take guys that had system success and they sign them to big contracts, and then they go, they end up being Bears, and they don't have that success. And so just having a guy come from Cleveland, just being a fan, and going to be a Chicago Bear, Devin Bush just kind of feels like one of those guys that's going to end up being, was a system success here in Cleveland and is going to be a big disappointment in Chicago.
Well, you got for me, my first tweet, right when it happened, I said this could be a loss for both sides, because he earned his money, and I never take money out of people's pockets, regardless of what their profession is. So, but the system really helped them, and that's why I think when you get to react and play downhill more than play one gap and slow read to see and have all these different rules. Sometimes when you're thinking, your feet aren't moving, you play slow, and that's what an aggressive Schwartz style, Rutenberg style defense really does for you. It allows you to play downhill and not think as much and be instinctual. So I think, more than anything, I just think the scheme really helped him. He earned his money. And if that's the case, he got it. But this is not going to be a drop off, because again, I think Quincy Williams is coming into a system. If it stays similar to, which I think Rutenberg will do, it's really going to help, because he has that front four in front of him, and teams got to block that front four. And that usually, those guys will create a mess, and those linebackers are just going to clean it up. So I think and once again, I've been very hard on Barry. I thought that was a great pickup, and you're not spending a ton of money in NFL type terms, and you're getting a guy that fits your scheme. So I think they did a nice job there.
Yeah, real quick, since we're on that topic, we got questions for you, and I know you're on by the time. Also, want to try to run through as much as we can. It's kind of on the same thing. So, is there anybody else out there right now in free agency that you would try to go after as of right now, as what they've already done? Any other piece?
Oh, it's funny. I was I was getting ready last night, looking forward to a couple things I have to do today. And Rasheed Walker's a guy I wanted, and obviously he's now not available. And the thing that I think that did, not only for the Browns, but again, I say this all the time, and I've had a lot of pushback. And once again, it's not right or wrong; it's different philosophies. But for me, at 6, I'm taking the best players, and I've always believed in players over plays because those are the guys that impact games and impact winning. And if you go out and get Rasheed Walker, now the idea of I've always believed when an NFL team is so bad on one side of the ball that they stretch sometimes to fill holes. And if you get Rasheed Walker, now you're thinking, all right, what can we do now? We got our offensive line a little bit. Doesn't mean you don't draft offensive line. But for me, for example, I love Monroe Freeling. I think he's going to be an outstanding pro. I don't like Monroe Freeling necessarily at 6. Doesn't mean I'd be mad if they took him at 6 because I'm a big believer you win on the inside out. But a guy like Caleb Downs, even though you have those guys and people are like, you don't need a safety, I don't care. A guy like Jeremiah Love, I don't care if you have Judkins. I like guys who flip the field. I like guys when they touch it or if they're on the field, they change the game just by their presence. So if you go out and get Rasheed Walker, now you can take whoever you got. You know, if you think it's Monroe Freeling, if you think it's Caleb Downs, if you think it's Reese, if you think it's Styles, great. Then you can make that decision. But when you don't have that left tackle, I think you go now that the need and the value kind of combine, which I never really like inside the top 10. I think you got to get guys who are just freaks in the top 10 or guys you think can change the game.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that. And like I said, I was happy that we actually went and cleared up some of this offensive line issue during the free agency period. That obviously changes the draft now because you can go after a wide receiver, you can go after a left tackle, and I think the left tackle position is going to be the most dominant position because that's going to protect your quarterback's blind side. I think that's very important going into the draft. If we go into the draft without a solid left tackle, but for best player available right now, I don't think the Browns have room to do that, and that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to. It's needs versus wants, and that's just me. Depending on what we do, continuing on until the draft. It's going to be another one of those years where you're just like, man, what are you going to do? And you're at the draft and you're just like, oh man, the first pick comes up and your stomach's turning. You know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you feel that, especially with Andrew Berry at the helm of things. Sometimes he makes great decisions. Sometimes you're just like, dude, what just happened? But I just don't think as of right now, the Browns could go for best player available. And I wish we had the option to do that. I just think you need.
But when you do that, though, you end up reaching. And the Browns just have such a bad history of reaching in the draft, where we end up taking guys out of slot. And that this is where you end up with draft busts. And the Browns have such a bad history of drafting guys that end up just not being what we need them to be, and so the Browns at this point, they cannot afford to be reaching and taking guys that shouldn't be that, that shouldn't be taken in that slot. They've got to take best available, I think. And, the teams that are good year after year after year don't necessarily draft for need. They draft the best player available. You get the best player available. And then once you have, a wealth, you have a wealth of good players in a certain position, then you can use that wealth to then supplement, the places that you need. You can work trades. You can do different things to then fill those other positions, but I don't want to see the Browns. I don't want to see the Browns reach anymore. I'm kind of with Lance here. You got to draft the best. You got to draft the best available.
That's Coach Riz to you, Gary.
Whatever you want to call me, just keep it clean, right? That's all right. Whatever you want to call me.
Yeah, I do have another question for you though. When you one more draft question.
Sure.
When you evaluate prospects, how do you determine whether a player can actually develop once they reach the NFL?
Well, I use Alex Wright as an example. So there's depending, once again, it goes back to where are you picking them and how do you value them? If you look at a guy like Alex Wright, his guy played at UAB, had all the physical tools, just wasn't very kind of raw. So he had to get stronger, but he had physical tools. And the one thing I will tell you, even though I've been involved in football all my life, when you go down and you're at practice every day and you stand basically like next to the huddle, you realize how big and fast these guys are. And even as a former Division I quarterback, very, very modest, average quarterback in college, these guys are so big and fast. So there is a standard that you have to have in terms of size and speed, just for survival purposes. But the idea of where you want to go, where you're drafting, what you're doing, how you're doing it, who you're getting, those kind of come down to personal preference to me.
Yeah, I agree. That was a trick question, just so you know. I'm kidding.
No worries.
No worries.
So
We're gonna
kind of getting into talking about the evaluation of the some of these players. Like, so I'm obviously a fan. I'm not a coach, right? So when we're talking about evaluating these guys, we're going to get into quarterbacks here, and we're going to talk in the hot ticket name is Shedeur Sanders, right?
Oh, really? Did he play for the Browns?
Yeah, he plays for the Browns. Right?
All right,
yeah.
Just checking. No one's ever asked me that. I was
so you knew we were going to get here, so we're going to get here.
Absolutely.
So I look at this guy and I see, as a fan, I see a guy that makes throws that me and other Browns fans for years have been wanting a quarterback to make. I see quarterbacks and other teams make these throws and go, God, I wish I had a guy that could put the ball there the way this guy does it. And now we finally have a guy that does it. And on the other side of that, we have reports coming out from like Jason Lloyd, saying this guy doesn't, watch film, and you get the good and the bad that's coming out with all of this that's going on with Shedeur, right? I just, as a fan, what are we to believe? What's your take on it? What's going on here? Why is the public perception of what's going on so different than what some of the insiders are reporting?
Well, first and foremost, with Shedeur Sanders, everybody lives in the extremes too much, right? He's either a guy who's going to be all pro next week, or he's a guy stinks and can never play. I don't think that about him. Now, the idea of not watching film, those are things that they're hindsight. And those are things that people, who knows, right? And I never speculate. I never assume. So I just try to stick to what I see on film. And there's one thing. So I'll start with the negative. He's got to protect the ball better. He's got to protect the ball better moving forward. That being said, I thought as a quarterback, I thought his footwork improved. I thought his decision-making improved. I thought his accuracy got a little bit better. There's things that I thought he improved over those 7 starts. But the problem is that everybody has expectations, in my opinion, of where he needs to be and what he can do. He's a guy who's very impactful. And if you don't know this, I am not an anti-Dylan Gabriel fan whatsoever. I thought he fit Kevin Stefanski's scheme together very, very well. That being said, he wasn't very impactful. So there's kind of where the numbers go away from me. I thought Shedeur Sanders was pretty impactful when he played. But it's almost like we look too much when he makes a bad play, everybody goes C. And then when he makes a great play, everybody goes C. And it's kind of like an almost I told you so. I don't think he's a 5th-round talent. I think he's better than that. But there's something that came with it, whether it's all the noise or whatever it is. But I will tell you, he's watching him every day during 2 days when he was not even involved in anything. His attitude was very good. But so all those guys, when they were all together, all 4 of those guys, everybody had them against each other. Shedeur helped Dylan. Dylan helped Shedeur, Flacco. They were all very, very coachable, and they all encouraged each other. Now, I'm interested to see what Shedeur does moving forward. Now, and in terms of like what Jason Lloyd said, and these people say, I don't really know. And I try to avoid those things just because those guys work very hard at what they do, and they do know lots of people. So there probably is some, I always like to say things like that are always kind of in the middle. It's not what you think. It's like a teacher. It's kind of like it's in the middle. So I just think he's a guy that has done a lot of really good things. And if you can let the process kind of work out, I think it would help him. Now, the thing is that Monken's really going to help him with is he's going to maximize his skill set. And Monken's very good with quarterbacks. I was very big on what Monken did with, Lamar in his time because I thought he made him a really good pocket passer. And that's hard to do when you got an athletic quarterback who's always worked well on the run. And I thought he did a great job of kind of taking that Ravens offense, which was really, really good, when they kind of, if you look back, they took a chance on Lamar Jackson. This is a guy who kind of changed the way people look at quarterbacks with athleticism. So I don't know. I just think people live in the extremes with Shedeur. I think he's a guy who's earned the right to kind of be in the mix. But if you temper your expectations, I think it helps him as well, because then there's growth instead of saying everything, because he's going to make a bunch of really good plays and he's probably going to make a bunch of really bad plays. And if you don't get too high or too low, you can kind of evaluate, which is kind of why I don't listen to stuff. I just want to watch the film and see what I see. And I saw pretty good growth over the course of 7 weeks.
Yeah, and my thing too, Coach, was, I mean, he had no first team reps, and I know you can't give all your quarterbacks. You got to concentrate. Like we had Flacco, obviously he's got to get him. We have Dylan, he was going to be next guy up. He's got to get him, but he got none. And I think Wyatt Teller even said in the season when he was out there, he's like, I think I heard his cadence like once so far. Like he made a comment about that. So I felt like he was thrown into the fire, and he is still learning. I mean, he's a rookie, and I think him and Dylan, I believe people are so critical on these guys, but you gotta, at the end of the day, they're just getting in here. They just got tossed in the frying pan. I'm old school, man. I think a quarterback, it's hardly ever happens that you could just throw a guy out there and he's your next guy up and he's going to take you like a Jaden Daniels pops to mind. That hardly ever happens. Some of these guys need to sit back, learn, as a coach for you, I'm sure that that also. I mean, that's how I feel,
Well, if you look at here's an example. When everybody said, well, one of the big things I always look at when I look at quarterbacks is how many games do they play and how many times do they get to the second and third progression. So what I've heard a bunch is that Shedeur Sanders can't do this stuff. And I disagree. When he was at Colorado, his offensive line was not very good. And what ends up happening is I thought they did a great job of the only way you can help your offensive line is get the ball out quick. So they did a nice job of developing quick high-lows, quick in and outs, slant arrows, 3-step games, because they couldn't pass protect, not because they didn't know it. It's Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur knows football. I've talked to Pat Shurmur. I've listened to him speak. He knows football. It's the fact that they couldn't pass protect. So do you want him to get his second, third progression? He's going to be on his back because they just couldn't pass protect. So those are things he had to learn. He's in the shotgun most of the time. The footwork is different. So there's just a learning curve. The Jaden Daniels, it goes back to like the Chicago offensive line. Everybody thinks the Browns are going to do that. What the Bears did up front last year, that's an outlier. They did a great job, but it usually takes a little bit of time to gel. It takes they were good early. So I just think with Shedeur, if they can let him kind of work into what he's doing, they got to get some offensive linemen around him, which they've done. Now they got to get some more skill guys around him, and he might not be the guy. He might be the guy, but I don't think that's kind of decided yet. I look forward to seeing what he can do in a Todd Monken player over play kind of offense. We'll see what happens moving forward.
And that's funny you say that, because I listen to you, and you and I are on pretty much the same page, and Sam as well, where obviously the play starts at the offensive line, and if you don't have guys that can block for your quarterback, no matter how long he holds onto the ball, it's going to be an issue, especially when you have wide receivers that can't get open, wide receivers that are having dropping issues. There's certain things that go into it's a team effort. It's not just one guy. So I guess that brings us to the next question. Obviously, we're going to have camp and we're going to figure out who the quarterback is going to be. But what do you think the likelihood of Deshaun Watson starting the season is, or Shedeur Sanders?
Well, one of the things that I said when Kevin got fired is that first two things were going to happen. First of all, the people who love Shedeur and people who hate Shedeur, it doesn't matter because you're getting fresh eyes. So that's the first thing. I thought the defense something was going to happen on the defense, because Schwartz was either going to be the head coach and not as involved, or he was going to not be the head coach and probably leave, which is what happened. So in terms of the quarterback position, my thought is this as a coach: I don't really care who the quarterback is. And I don't really want it to be Shedeur and you go, see, I told you so, or it's not Shedeur and see, I told you so. If Deshaun Watson can come back and he's healthy, and that's a big if, shoulder, multiple Achilles, but none of that 19 games and everything that I hear from the past doesn't matter moving forward. This is a guy who's coming in, he's 60 years old. And if it's a true competition and Deshaun is better or Shedeur is better, that's who plays, in my opinion. And if it's Deshaun, I don't care what he's done in the past 5 years. I don't care if there's the worst trade ever made. None of that means anything if I'm Todd Monken, in my opinion. You got to play the best guys. If you talk about what culture is, it's doing everything you can to win on a daily basis. And you're saying, well, Deshaun hasn't been very good, in the past 4 years. We're just not going to bank anything on him. if he goes out there and he's the best guy, he plays. And that's the way I look at it. And it's the same thing with Shedeur. If he's the best guy, he goes out there and he plays. And I think with Monken, you'll get that. You're going to get pretty good competition, and the best guy plays. So do I think it could be Deshaun? Absolutely. I think the same about Shedeur, because I think both guys are going to get a look. And Todd Monk is not worried about next year. Guys who worry about the future usually aren't a part of it. So he's worried about week one. And I think if week one, if Deshaun Watson's the best quarterback, then he's the best quarterback. And that you hope that it's just because of the performance on the field, nothing else. And that's what, for me, that's how I always coached. You're going to, if a kid would talk to me and say, why am I not playing? And I would say, because you're not as good as the guy in front of you. Prove me right or prove me wrong. And I think that's kind of where the Browns are at. They got to get the best guys on the field. And if it's Kevin, sure, he's had a pass with Deshaun. Monken hasn't. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But the best guy plays, in my opinion, and I don't know who that's going to be.
And the most Cleveland-esque thing will happen. Here's what's going to happen. Obviously, game one should if Deshaun Watson comes out, everybody's going to boo him. It's the inevitable. It's going to happen. But I'm telling you right now, if this guy wins 5 games back to back, Cleveland will fall in love with him all over again.
Yep,
that's just
doesn't matter.
Works, right?
Winning is the ultimate medicine. There is no question about that. Yeah, and once again, you just hope you talk about like the culture. You guys asked me earlier. That's what it is. Go out there and let him play and see who the quarterback is. And if he's the best guy, I don't particularly care what happened in the past and things like that. Now, some of the off-field stuff. Obviously that's not where, guys like you and I are at, right? We're just talking about stuff on the field. If he's the best player, play him.
Yeah. And that's what I've been saying too. I mean, you're not,
sorry, Gary.
You're not gonna, I just have a hard time feeling like I'm not a coach, but if I was in them shoes, like you said, coach, you're going to put your best guy forward. If Deshaun's doing better than Shedeur in training camp, you're not going to put Shedeur up just because his last name. That's the way I look at it. Like you said, and you'll tell him, hey, man, you got to work harder. Right now, it's this guy's the best man forward, because they're trying to turn this whole season around. It's time to win games.
And I will say this too about the people who love Shedeur. And I think he's got first of all, he's one thing that never said, super nice kid. The one thing I will say, if he was not to play this year because Deshaun Watson is the quarterback and the Browns can win some games, could be the best thing for him. And it sounds kind of weird, but it not playing all the time doesn't necessarily mean he can't be successful in the future, in my opinion.
But do you think that means he won't be successful with the Browns?
No, I think he can be successful with the Browns. I think, if you can get in here, this is going to be a new system, new terminology. One of the things I say all the time is that he had to go in an offense. These college quarterbacks, they're in the gun, and there's not a lot of play calling. You get an offensive huddle and you're killing it, and you're giving 2 long play calls, and then you got to see the front and the coverage and what they're doing, and then kill it, and then get to the next play. And there's a lot of stuff that just goes into the thought process. So he didn't have to do that in college. So he's gotten used to that. There's some of the logistics of playing quarterback that I think he's still learning. And all those guys are still learning. And that was kind of the thing with Dylan Gabriel. I never believed in the supercomputer. I just believed in experience. Dylan Gabriel played a ton of games and a ton of systems, played underneath center, played in the gun, footwork for everything, had to make long play calls. That just helps your learning curve when you're starting. So I just think he'll get better. And yes, I still think there's a future with the Browns or with somebody else. But as we all know, we've seen it here in Cleveland. When you put a quarterback in without the pieces around, it can go downhill very quick, and that's sometimes hard to recover from.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same way you do with that. Because like I said, I'm an old school. I wanted him and Dylan both to sit back and learn. And then if Deshaun goes out here, and I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a Deshaun Watson fan, but I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, and I want to win games. Okay. And I want the best for Shedeur. I wanted the best for Dylan. I mean, we had the Flacco Pickett thing going on last year. I said, best guy up, man. Let's go. I don't care. Let's just go. Who's Kevin thinking? Who they thinking? But yeah, we got to do that. And I think that will give if Watson comes out, and like you said, he wins 5-6 games, people are going to forget all about that. Okay. We're winning games. I think that will give him time to grow. I really do, because I think sitting them quarterbacks and letting them get a chance to soak in everything around them is really helpful for these guys.
Absolutely.
Man,
Now, before we let you go, real quick, because I know you got to get out of here. You
No,
said you
you're okay.
had about
Absolutely.
a half hour. I got a question here for you because we're kind of talking about cultures here. The Ravens have been in the news the last week, and as I think about what the Ravens have done here in the last week, I think of all of the grief the Browns have gotten for, the way that they have dealt with free agency over the last few years and all of the bad press that they've gotten. And it seems as though, this isn't the first time the Ravens have done something like this. They did something like this maybe like 6-7 years ago. I can't remember with who, but it was with a wide receiver, I believe. But the Ravens win. And so it seems that, they had the report card this year where they got like F's on everything. One of the, but the Ravens seem to not really necessarily get the national grief that the Browns get. What do you think it's going to take for the Ravens to finally, for them to finally start to I don't know, crash, crash for some of these decisions and the way that they're actually treating these players? Because it just seems like, if the Browns are making these decisions, that's all that would be going on in all of these national talk shows, and you'd be hearing about it until September.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, and that's the losing culture that the Browns have had since 1999. When you lose, it's easy to attack, and it's easy to say, see. So what's going to end up happening with that? Now, the one thing I say about the Ravens all the time is that the Ravens draft, I love the way the Ravens draft. They draft for guys that fit them. They draft for guys that fit their scheme and their culture and what they want to do. So that's why they've had so much success on the field, in my opinion. Now, in terms of what would it take, losing. The minute you lose, you go, oh, see, it's because we don't have any of this stuff. And when people say winning is the ultimate medicine, I really think it is at any level of football. It doesn't mean you have to work on things. It doesn't mean, when people say there's an ugly win, I could not disagree more. There is absolutely no such thing as an ugly win. There's a win that you have a lot of things to work on. Don't get me wrong, I've been there, but if you win, it's all that matters. And then you figure it out the next week. And when I was a young coach, you were like, I want to score this amount of points. And when I got older, I was like, I just want to win. If it's 2-0, we'll figure it out next week. And that's kind of what's going to end up happening to the Ravens. If they start losing, then you're going to see that. You're going to see teams go, when you have an elite quarterback like Lamar Jackson, he erases a lot of the issues both on the field and outside the field, right? In the meeting rooms, outside the meeting rooms, because he just covers it all. The minute they start losing, all those things start to open. And that's kind of what happened to the Browns, is that anytime anything bad happens or goes on, it's the Browns. It's a losing culture. And that's a great thing. That's my favorite thing about Monken. He's 60 years old and he doesn't care. And that's important because he doesn't care. This is his shot. He doesn't care what happens since 1999. He's moving forward.
I was very skeptical. Like, I to be honest with you, Lance, I wanted a younger coach because the NFL is changing. Obviously,
sure.
I was all for bringing in a younger coach, but with Todd Monken, first time being a head coach is kind of interesting. Obviously, seeing what he did with the Ravens is going to help us tremendously, I hope. So that's another reason I have kind of high hopes going into this season, and I'm kind of excited about it. Now, at first, I was skeptical, but now after you learn more about Todd Monken,
let it marinate.
You let it marinate, and it just becomes alive. It's something good, and I think that's what this team may need. Kevin Stefanski seemed like he just wasn't ever able to adapt to any scenario where there was issues, and there was no change, it seemed. So I'm hoping you see change this year. That is my biggest thing. Being able to adapt to adversity during a game. Adjustments are huge, and that's just something that I don't think we saw. I think Kevin stuck to his scheme, and that was it. The game plan was there. They're not changing it, and I'm hoping you see some drastic changes this year with the scheme, the coaching, as well as Jim Schwartz. Everybody was bummed out about Jim Schwartz leaving, but if you stick to the same medicine you used last year, maybe this year could be even better, because we know the defense has some issues as well. Losing defensive line players, seeing dramatic changes there. The run stop kind of fell apart the last couple games. I want to win games.
That's it, right? It comes down to that. My dad always said you got to win. So whatever you're doing, Everybody, their coaches always talk about, we got to build a culture, and we want kids to be, it all ties into winning. Everything. If you look at teams that have great cultures, the players love it. It's because they're winning. You can make everything work if you're winning. If you're losing, then what your meals aren't as good as you'd like them, and your locker room is not as nice as you want it. Teams that win don't care about any of that stuff, and that's the difference. Is that stuff is all nice, but if you win, everything's nice. You just got to figure out ways to win, and they haven't been able to do that.
Yeah,
I want to go ahead because I want to close you out.
Okay.
I know you got things to do, or if you got more time, that's fine. But I wanted to make sure because I didn't want to push
Sure.
you over time if you got things to do.
No, I got a couple minutes. Sure.
Okay, cool.
we just kidnapped Lance for a couple extra minutes. That's good.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to know, Coach Riz, I want to know if you were the GM of the Browns and you're sitting at 6-24 and 39. I want to know the Browns select at first round at number 6. I want to know who you're going to go with on 6-24 and 39. Your 3 guys that you're going to look after, you're going to target.
Well, here's what I'm doing. First of all, at 6, anytime inside the top 10, I'm taking the best player available. And the best player for me on film, without question, is Caleb Downs. So when I watch Caleb Downs on film, he's better than everybody else. I like Arvell Reese. I love him. I love his skill set. I love Sonny Styles. But when talk about transition from what they do in the combine type stuff to what they do on the field, Caleb Downs is really, really good for me. So I would take Caleb Downs at 6. Then if I think that Monroe Freeling is not going to slide to 24, I'm going to package a deal to try to slide down to get Monroe Freeling. If I can't get Monroe Freeling, then I'm probably going to take a guy like, we'll see if, obviously it changes, but if, Tyson, Tate, or Lemon are available at 24, then I'm going there. If not, the guy that I think is underrated receiver is Omar Cooper. So I would go with Omar Cooper at 24. Then at 39, I'm going to take the best available offensive lineman with the best traits, because you start to get into and for me, that's Max Iannaccio from Arizona State. I think he's got a tremendous skill set and can play multiple spots and is an extreme athlete. I'm going to do everything I can to get a game changer. I'm going to do everything I can to get Monroe Freeling, and then I would try to, figure it out from there. But that would be my thought going in. Let's get Caleb Downs because he's a game changer. It helps him win games. And then I got to get that left tackle.
Man, you just heard it, guys. Listen, it's good. The Riz selects.
It's a great sound right there. It's a great sound.
There it is. Hey, Coach, real quick too, because I was saying it, I anchor. You said it, Max's last name. How did you pronounce it? Iannaccio.
It took me a long time to find out how that was said.
Yeah, I
said it wrong forever.
Iannaccio. I've been doing the same thing. It's once we get guys and we get accustomed to their names, Iannaccio. But he's on my list as much as Freeling is on there too. But real quick, I would think my thing is go get that offensive lineman. You said best player available. Okay, say I take Downs, but wide receiver wise, like if Tate's already gone. Basically, what I want to get at, I'm a Denzel Boston guy. I was just wondering your thoughts on Denzel Boston and how you feel he would fit here in Cleveland. Because Coach, I'm looking for AFC North. I want a big-bodied receiver, and he seems to be the guy. 6'4", 210 pounds. What are your thoughts on him?
Well, I love him, and I love Malachi Fields, and I love the fact that Malachi Fields didn't run great because some people come off him simply on his time. Watch him; he's got great football speed, and football speed to me is the ability to understand what you're seeing, and you play at top speed all the time. Boston's the guy at Washington, really good, much better. You get kind of 2 different types of receivers in this draft. You get the guys who can play in the slot, like Lemon, Casey Concepcion, Omar Cooper, and then you got the outside guys, right? You got guys like Boston, you got guys like Malachi Fields, really good. Brazil, the kid out of Tennessee. I love all those guys. So it kind of tells me what they're going to do, how much, this offense. I'm interested to see what Seth Tillman can do now, because once again, I know Seth Tillman's limited and people say he hasn't done anything. Well, he's done some things before he's been hurt, but he's also been in a system. And Todd Monken is really big on, we're going to maximize a skill trait that these guys that got him to the NFL. And I'm telling you right now, I've gotten the chance to stand next to Mr. Seth Tillman, and that is a impressive human being. Now, practices hard. He's got to go do it. Don't get me wrong, but it'll tell me a lot on who they're thinking about drafting when they do get a receiver, on what they think about Seth Tillman and what they think about Isaiah Bond, because Isaiah Bond's that inside guy that needs touches in space. Boston's a 50-50 guy at the end of the catch point. So when I do receivers, it's at the line of scrimmage, your releases at the catch point, and then run after catch. He's a 50-50 guy. He's that big body guy you like. Seth Tillman's there, and I think, if you can get him running comebacks, curls, fades, use him in the red zone, and don't have him do system stuff, but kind of focus in on what he could do, maybe he could have a breakout year. That's not being said, but that's kind of how I think Monken's thinking about Seth Tillman, is I can get more out of him. Same with Isaiah Bond. So my number one receiver is Mekhi Lemon, just because I think he can play inside and outside, but he's a touch guy. And for me, receivers, I always like run after catch guys more than I like contested catch guys, because it makes it easy on the quarterback. It allows you to get the ball out faster if you're struggling with protection. It's kind of an extended run game. If protection and run game are an issue, you can get it to the flanks really quick. But those big body guys in the AFC, you're right, in all the NFL. But in the AFC, it's important with the weather. So, yeah, Boston's a tremendous talent. I think this is a really deep receiver class, deeper than most people think. But a guy like Casey Concepcion is cruising up the boards. Omar Cooper is an elite talent. There's guys all over the place who are really, really good. Jamari Thrash is a guy who's going to be Jeremiah Branch is a guy who kind of reminds me of Thrash, but a quicker, more explosive version. So the Branch kid out of Georgia, he's explosive. He'll probably be around on day 3, and I have him as a much higher grade. So it depends on what you want there, and it depends on what they think of Seth Tillman and Isaiah Bond. But I think Boston's a great talent. Boston's also pretty good run after catch after watching his film. I can see why people have him higher than I do. I have him at 9, but he's a big body guy who can do some good things.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I think we need that. We haven't had that. To me, like, we got Tillman, but like you said, he's played injured and stuff. We just have, to me, we need a new young big body guy here, and that's a guy that is on my radar.
Since when you stand next to Seth Tillman, I'll say this to you: when you stand next to Seth Tillman, you're like, "How is this guy not good?" It's just like, "Oh my gosh, this is the most." He's one of the most. He's like the get off the bus guy get off the bus first guy. Man, is Seth Tillman impressive in person, but the production has not been there. Potential, yes. Production, no.
Yeah, and I wish him well. I mean, it's kind of like we're on this talk real quick. Is there hopes for Jerry Jeudy to have a resurrection this season?
Yeah, Jerry Jeudy. So here's another thing with Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is a type of receiver. He's on your roster, and when people say he's got to do this, well, he's on your roster, and your job as a coach is to get your players to play. And I think that's what Todd Monken will do very well. And once again, I'm anti-Kevin Stefanski guy. But when you're a players over plays guy, you understand a guy like Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judy's a guy, he doesn't really care what he gets. He wants touches. So early on, you get him a bubble screen. You get him something to get him touches, to get him motivated, get him into the game. You don't manufacture off levels concept or, the stuff in a system that Kevin likes to run. You simply create touches for a guy like Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judy's a guy who, if he's not touching the ball, he becomes very moody. If he's not touching the ball, it becomes kind of a problem for the offense. If you're going to have him on your roster and you're high on him, then your job as a coach is to, how do I get this guy to maximize his skill set? I got to get him touches. Because even in practice, when you watch Jerry Jeudy, when he's getting touches, he's involved heavily. So, yes, I expect Jerry Jeudy to have a heck of a year. I also think if Jerry Jeudy was a number 2 receiver, he'd be even more outstanding because coverage would be rotating away from him, going to the number 1 receiver. It would also help Harold Fannin because then he becomes the tight end who's always matched against linebackers and safeties. And it would also help the run game because you'd have to play nickel because you have a number 1 receiver, Jerry Jeudy and Fannin. So you'd have to get a linebacker out of the box. That would help the run game. So, yes, I think Jerry Jeudy can be outstanding. I would love for them to get a number 1 receiver, either in the draft if they think they can, and we'll see what happens. But, yes, I expect Jerry Jeudy to be very good this year.
Lance, your word just gave me goosebumps, man.
Well, once again, I always, as a coach, my dad always taught me, never lose a game before you play it and maximize what you got. And if you go in swinging, why go in when people say, what do you think the Browns record is going to be? I don't know. I think they should win every game. Why not think like that? It won't happen. I understand that. But your preparation, how you do things, how your offseason is, how you practice, you're practicing to win every game. So why say, well, we can't beat that team? I don't believe in that. You go out, you try to win every game, you prepare that way. And if you prepare and you lose, great. But if you're unprepared because you were unsure if you can win, There was never a game I went into I didn't think I could win, not one. And that's important that the Browns kind of get to that, in my opinion.
Yeah, you got to have that. You have to have that. You can't just say, well, I mean, even when you're like, you got a real good team coming in and everybody's like, man, these guys are really good, man.
Doesn't matter.
F them guys. We're going
to put the film on. They have weaknesses.
We're going to win today. We're going to win today. We're going to win today. Yeah, man. I love that mentality. And you have to have that to keep on, pushing on through, man. Everybody can get punched in the mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's easy to coach and play when you're winning. Everybody likes you. Everybody, everybody thinks you're great. My dad always taught me being a good coach and being a good player is doing the right things when you're losing, because that's how you get yourself out of it. If you hang your head, no one feels bad for you. No one cares. So you got to figure it out yourself. And that's kind of the mantra I've always had as a coach and even as an analyst now. When people ask me, what do you think the Browns record is going to be? I always say, I hope it's 1-0, because that's kind of where I'm at. I want them to win week 1.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You guys got anything else, fellas?
Oh, Lance, I want to.
I would keep, man. We would keep you on for another hour or two. Lance.
Well, anytime, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate you listening and watching my stuff. And once again, I'm learning from you guys too. Everybody, I think that's always the key, is everybody's learning from each other. And if there's anything I can ever do for you, let me know. And again, I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, Coach Riz. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
You are everybody. Thank you, man, so much. You are pretty much a Cleveland legend, pretty much coming into this as an analyst for the Cleveland Browns, and everybody looks up to reading your stories and watching you guys. It's amazing, man, and we do definitely appreciate you coming on. We'll have you back on,
sure,
for sure. And we have a draft party coming up. I don't know if you guys know about this. Really quick, the Bearded Browns podcast draft party at PJ McIntyre's. If you want to come down. Lorraine Road in Cleveland, at the PJ McIntyre's Irish Pub with the West Park Browns backers. Obviously April 23rd at 7 p.m. So if you're in the area, man, feel free to stop by, and we'll give you a microphone.
I appreciate it, guys. Again, I appreciate you guys having me on. I always love talking ball, and anything I can do. Once again, I'm for sure not all knowing. I just watch what I see and try to enlighten people on what I know, and hopefully they can tell me things I don't know too.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We appreciate you. I appreciate you. And like we said, invites there, and maybe even maybe after the draft. I'd like to get you on. I would pick your brain, see how you feel about the picks.
Sure, and absolutely. You guys let me know, and I'd love to come on again.
And Coach Riz, if people want to check out your stuff, where can they find you?
I'm on X. I'm on all the socials, even though I'm old now. I've gotten on all the socials, right? So, but you can find me on X, and you can find me on Instagram, Facebook. It's just at Lance Reisland. Everything is at LanceReisland. Real simple.
Gotcha. And then you're what? Thursdays on 92.3 The Fan?
Yeah, I'm on Tuesday night. We do the tailgate show from 7 to 9. I'm sorry, the off-season special. I did the tailgate show during the year. So Tuesday nights, we do the off-season special with myself, Jay Volnick, and Dale Ryder. I'm on Thursday nights with the afternoon drive with Jonathan Peeler and Nick Wilson. I'm on at 6 o'clock every Thursday. Then I'm usually on with one of the other groups during the week at some point. So yeah, you can hear me on 92 once in a while during the week, and for sure on Thursday night and Tuesday nights.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you very
Absolutely,
much.
guys. Have a great day.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Woo, woo, woo.
Guys, that was awesome. Very, very insightful. It actually gave me some hope for Jerry Jeudy as well, which is it's a whole different outlook now. Like you said, if he gets touches, that could change dramatically. It does. It builds his morale. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm getting the ball. I'm making plays. I really enjoyed hearing that. And hopefully this will be a big turnaround year for Jerry Jeudy. And like you said, if Jerry Jeudy becomes a number 2, hopefully he won't have a problem with that, but it does open up the field for him. So
it's another thing too, I was upset with the guy last year. I'm like, come on, guy. Now you're getting the ball and you're dropping it, or, you're catching it and they're ripping it out of your arms. What's going on, man? And the thing is, I want to win games. I want him to do good, and I'm hoping he can come back. And I've seen him and Shador been practicing together off season a lot, and I'm hoping that they can he can bounce back. He does seem like a guy that's, you got to get him going. Like he even said, you got to get him a bubble screen. You got to get the guy started out, and then he can continue to hopefully do well for you as the game goes on. But yeah, I mean, because I was like, I just can't handle no more drops, man. So hopefully he can have his turnaround season coming up, gentlemen. Just want to win games. We need every piece. Let's go.
And I think that's just kind of like, that's what we need this year is just we need a turnaround. Whether it's from Jerry Jeudy or from every piece of this team. It's specifically in the offense. We need a turnaround. I understand that that they are rebuilding still, but we've been through a lot of rebuilding seasons here as Browns fans, and I'm tired of the rebuilding.
Logan just had Jerome Ford sign with the Commanders. Our season is over.
We'll be all right.
Speaking of signings,
speaking
of signings, last night actually, we made a signing, defensive tackle Clyde Davis. The Browns have agreed to terms with defensive tackle Clyde Davis on a 1-year deal worth up to $3 million after starting all 17 games for the 49ers last season. Davis heads to Cleveland on a deal negotiated by his agents. 49ers were pretty damn good last year, and this guy was a big piece of their defensive line. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, just
started
hope
all 17.
Just hope his ligaments weren't damaged by the power station next to the field.
He always goes back to the Gary's always go back to it. Yeah.
But he did start all 17 games last year, recorded a high 28 tackles, and had a half sack. So, I mean, that's something to look forward to. It could be a rotational guy on that defensive line. It could be a huge help.
But we also, I mean, we don't have Shelby Harris is gone, right? So, I mean, we have to have somebody come in here and we got to fill some holes. So, and I'm hoping Malik Collins can come back healthy because when he went out in that 49ers game, I mean, it seemed like that's where our run stoppage stopped. Like we were getting run on horribly. So,
like Logan says, we made Pollard look like Barry Sanders back in the day of that game.
Yeah, it was crazy. So adding a guy like Davis here, it gives us some depth. We're going to need that. I mean, they might even draft another defensive tackle somewhere. I mean, because this is I'm seeing this as another hole. Shelby Harris gone. Sam Kamara is a free agent right now. Cameron Thompson was more of an edge guy. He's gone. He's in Atlanta. So I'm just trying to look at pieces there. It seems like we're a little slim in that area, So I don't know. 6'2", 310 pounds. Seems like he's had a decent career. I mean, I hate to keep saying it. It's like middle of the road, but you need some of those guys in there that can fill those voids up. So, I mean, I'm not going to take nothing. He was a former linebacker in college, so he knows a little bit, of all the game. So, just not defensive line. So,
yeah. For everybody just joining us, I would like to thank everybody here and thank everybody for the comments. Make sure you guys follow, like, subscribe, share the feed. We really do appreciate you guys coming and joining us Saturday morning. I am sick. Logan's not here because he's sick. Gary's just always sick, and Sam is sick in the head. But I just want to thank everybody for joining us. Make sure you guys check out our sponsors. And again, we still got some Sanders gossip coming up. We got Gary's hatred for the Ravens. He already talked about it a little bit with Lance, but we got some more coming up. And there's a trade rumor, and some of you may like this. So we're going to get into that here. Guys, the Sanders gossip, I want to jump onto that. Obviously, we know he was sacked 23 times last year, another team high. And film analysis have pointed out a recurring issue with him. When the pocket collapses, Sanders sometimes holds the ball a moment too long. At the NFL level, that split second can be the difference between a clean throw and a sack. The challenge for Sanders is proving that he can adapt to pressure, and defenses continue to test him. I think, again, this problem lies with the offensive line. That's the main issue, and him holding onto the ball. We have seen receivers open in the backfield, unfortunately, where not in the backfield, just receivers open, period. And he isn't able to make the pass. That's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It was his rookie year. I'm not making excuses for anybody, but I would like to see with a new offensive line what this kid can do, and I'm looking forward to it. But Shedeur Sanders made a post this week on X, and it says, "Learn to value the opinions of those who care about you, not the noise from everyone else." And we have a lot of Shador fans. We got a lot of Shador haters. I don't think, again, I'll tell you this, guys. We've talked about it numerous times on the show. When the offense was falling apart, you can't just blame it on one person. It's the whole offense in general. And there's a certain guy by the name of Jason Lloyd. A lot of you guys know who he is. That's Gary's favorite. You could tell by that reaction there. But go ahead, Gary.
I'm just so Jason Lloyd is like, listen, I don't know the guy personally, right? And the guy's got to put food on the table for his family, right? And it's some like I don't believe that this guy is coming up. Somebody told him something at some point, right? We don't know. I don't know when I don't know the point, the time between what he reported and what he was told. I don't know what that distance is, right? But this is also the same guy that reported that the Cavs were in disarray when they weren't, and reported that, Garland wanted out and Mitchell wanted out. And then 2 weeks later, Mitchell signed an extension. Jason Lloyd is, he, what is the word I'm looking for?
A PAB.
He is, he's a sports tabloid writer for the city of Cleveland. He's a tabloid writer, and he gets clicks for writing outrageous stuff. I have never seen him write something positive. He's never come out where Jason Lloyd's been like, man, this super positive thing is going on. And people are like, wow, this is such an incredible article about this positive thing going on in Cleveland. There are positive things going on in Cleveland. He didn't write the article about the improvements that the quarterback is making. We saw the improvements that the quarterback was making. We saw them like with our eyes. I don't know what to say. I'm tired of these. I'm tired of Jason Lloyd.
Yeah,
Gary, hang on. Let me go into something too, Gary. Because my thought, I talked about this yesterday, but my thought, because he was talking about how his narrative is this and it's that, but his narrative seems fabricated, a fabricated narrative, right? So yes, maybe he had somebody say something or somebody told him something. But the funny thing to me is Tony Grossi's a guy too that, he's very hypocritical on things. He's already shown that he was hypocritical towards Shador. Shador even flat out asked him, hey, Tony, what you got wrong with me? I never did nothing to you, Tony.
For sure.
But a guy like Tony Grossi, he's around the building a lot. That's a fact. He's around the building a lot. Why is Jason Lloyd the only reporter coming out and saying he's got this intel? Like nobody else to this point. Nobody else to this point has said any of that. But he has that.
No other reporters are backing him up.
Well, yeah, and I would think a Tony Grossi would say, "Hey, you know what? Yeah, you know what? That's right. I was about to say the same thing." Or no, he's the only one. He's the only one out there with it right now. And I just think, the kid gets a lot of flack as it is. And he knows how to handle that, as to what he had said, just pretty much care about the people that love you. Don't worry about the other trash on the outside. But, you got to, this is, I'm going to say it. This is Deion Sanders' son. Okay. Deion Sanders, hell of an athlete. You guys know his track record. So as far as the film stuff, I find it hard to believe because, one, he's been around Tom Brady. Okay. Tom Brady here to help him out. Okay. He's had NFL staffers helping him out while he was in Colorado. And his dad, of anybody, is knows defense. I'm sure he taught his son, this is what the defense looks like, son. This is we're gonna watch some old films. You know, he had to sit him down. So for him to say that he has not sat down and watched any, or is not really good at any film and can't see hot reads and this and that, I think that's crazy. That's just nuts to me to think that he has no idea how to look at tape. It's outrageous to me.
Yeah,
So.
he's always had a complicated relationship with the Browns and the Browns fans. So naturally, these comments sparked serious backlash. However, he's not backing down. In a Thursday morning appearance on 92.3 The Fan, the insider even doubled down on his reporting. In fact, he questioned how the public perception of Sanders could be so far off from reality. He said, "I've been doing this for 25 years. I've never seen a story like this where what is behind the doors of the public narrative is so far off. I've never seen anything like this. It's stunning in so many ways." Like, yeah, you're stunning. So are your stories, man.
Yeah,
just calm down.
So is your hairline, Jason Lloyd. And what's left of it? You know what I mean? I'm tired. I'm tired of Jason Lloyd. Jason Lloyd seems like a guy that, like, for some reason I understand that he gets clicks. He seems like a guy that maybe has some sort of, I don't know. He has some sort, I don't know what kind of power the guy has. Where it's like nobody is calling him out, especially on that show. And listen, man, I'm a fan of most of the guys on that Cleveland on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, but no one's calling him out on that show, and that's very disappointing. I don't understand. I don't understand how the guy has a platform. And Angel does have a point, Mike. Why is your X in Spanish?
That's not mine. I took that from.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Angel. Bush did call him out. Good. Good. Somebody called him out. I missed it then because people need it. This is enough is enough with this guy, man. Yeah. Between what he did with what he's done with the Cavs and what he's doing with Shador here, it's just enough is enough, man. We need to stop shooting our own here in Cleveland. And it's not saying that you have to like butter up the reporting here, but it's like do you not want to see the Browns succeed? Do you not want to see your own succeed? It's clickbait. It's clickbait, and just enough is enough with this stuff. That you can see that the guy is watching film. You can see it by watching. You can see by watching the games. Did he hold on to the ball a little bit longer than you wanted him to? Yes, but guess what? He held on to it a lot less than he was in the beginning. His footwork got better. You can see that he made improvements. You can see that the guy was watching film, and you think that all this kid did was watch film.
There's it's going to be different this year. Believe me, guys. There's a whole off season. There's camp coming up. The scheme change with Monken coming in. A lot of things are going to change. You're going to see a lot different.
And it's not just with this quarterback. Was with I didn't like when Kyler Murray was getting this heat. Over in Arizona. When they're talking about him playing video game, these reporters don't know what these guys are going. These reporters have no idea what these guys are doing in their free time.
Couch coaches.
They really don't.
Yeah, I want to touch. Angel says, can Sanders watch film and still not process what he is seeing? Can both be true? I want to touch on that really quick because I would think, all right, so maybe he learns at a different rate. Well, you figure out how to. I would think between his dad and everybody that he has around him and his dad's connections that they would have figured that out. So if he's learning at one, I mean, it's like an equation. 2 + 2 is 4. Well, so is 3 + 1.
Football. 2 + 2 is football.
2
Let's
+
get
2
things
is
straight here.
2 + 2 is 4, but also is 3 + 1. So if he's got to show him math different, that's fine. But I think that's been done.
But where's the evidence, though, that he's not processing? The evidence there is that he is processing. Right. Is that he's improved. The fact that he keeps improving from week to week to week shows that he is processing.
Right. I just think that's not a big issue. I just think that's something that's being brought up just to cast more shade on the guy.
No, it's a guy that needs click. It's a guy that needs clicks on his articles. And that's it.
Yeah.
It's Jason.
Somebody could come with a counter thing. Say, Sam, well, you said he was around Tom Brady. Well, why didn't Tom Brady and them take him over there in the Raiders? And what does that have to do with him being able to read tape? Nothing. So, yeah, I'll take that too. I'm already taking out what you're already thinking. So,
Yeah. While Gary's all upset and wants to clickbait himself, let's move on to the next subject here, gentlemen.
Well, I don't think this next one's clickbait. You know, this is. I think we were talking about this with Coach before, but like, you know, the Baltimore Ravens. You know, so first of all, the whole premise of which they exist is a disgusting premise, right? And that is that they are the old Browns. The fact that they are a stolen franchise, people allow them to exist as a stolen franchise, as the old Browns, which is whatever it is. There's nothing you could do about it. It happened 30 years ago. But the fact that like the league is going to allow them to do what they just did is absolutely incredible. It is incredible that they are just going to be allowed to do this. I mean, you have an organization that when you look at it, when you look at what they did, they traded 2 first-round picks for Max Crosby, a guy that we all knew had this surgery on his knee. Everybody on the planet knew that he was coming off this surgery. Mike, did you know he had a surgery?
Yep. That's why he missed the last 2 games of the season.
Right. So you knew it, right? I knew it. Right? Sam went to the bathroom, but he knew that surgery happened, right? So they bring him in, and then Trey Hendrickson goes, "Oh, guess what? I'm still a free agent. You can have me for, less money and no draft picks." And they bite on it. And then they fail him on the physical, which changes everything all the teams were doing on free agency, right? I just don't understand how the league is allowing them to do this. Like I know that no deal is done until the new league year starts. What's that?
Wednesday at 4. Yeah, this past Wednesday at 4.
For sure, but then why are you allowed to work these deals out then and announce them?
Legal tampering?
What you had him in your building. His family was there. You had him and his family in your building. You were introducing him to people.
Had keyword. Unfortunately, I mean,
you had him in your building while you were negotiating a contract with Hendrickson.
And
then nobody is I mean, people are going, this is kind of outlandish, but if I don't really like whataboutisms, but I'm going to hear if the Browns had done this, get out of here. They would be talking about they would be on First Take talking about taking draft picks away from the Browns.
Yeah.
But Baltimore's cool. Eric Acosta, it's all cool.
The Browns is the Browns.
Well, I see what you're saying. It was wrong. He was a dead man walking in that building. His family was there, and they were already talking with Trey Hendrickson there. So, I mean, that's cutthroat business, man. They're like, all right, they made a gangster move, Gary. That's what they did. Is it right? No, but they made a gangster move. They said, you know what? Trey's still out there. We can save some money. And we can keep our picks. I would like to have that 2026 pick, first round there. I would like to have our 2027 first round pick. That's what they did. Was it right? No. But, I mean, maybe, like you said, though, too, they need to look into something to where you're not able to do that. I mean, there's got to be some type of something set there to where you can't just bring people in, especially when they're already in the building, family taking pictures, ready to sign pen to paper, and they're like,
that's what I'm saying, man.
Don't call us. We'll call you. Take her easy. And then Max has got to go, well, I guess I'm still silver and black. That's what it is. I'm, back to the Raiders I go. So, I mean, yeah, especially, I don't know. They knew what injury he had. They already knew.
Everybody knew.
They already knew.
Everybody knew what was going on with him.
Yeah, and then somebody tried to say, somebody over there in the Ravens organization tried to say, I don't know who, but somebody, it might even be just hearsay, but they were trying to say, well, we were trying to get both of them. bullshit. You were
That's
trying to
what it
get
was.
both them
Yeah.
guys.
They
You know
offered a
what I'm
wide
saying?
receiver max money.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
Michael
you-
Crabtree got cut from the Raiders. They failed
Simply-
at wide receiver physical and then went after Crabtree for cheaper. Yeah, the Angel. Thank you.
Yeah,
I knew
they
it was a
sim-
wide receiver, and I think it was like 2018. I'm sorry, Sam.
No, you're fine. You're fine because they've done it before. I see what you're saying. They've
Right.
done this. They've pulled the gangster move before. So, yeah, I don't know, man. It's on the other foot. If we were in the same shoes, and it was us, I'd be like, all right, cool, get our picks, and we got Trey. Okay, So it's the Ravens, bro. I don't like them either, and I don't like Pittsburgh. Don't like them either. But I don't know. But
Every
hey,
team.
since we're on the topic real quick, just since we're on this topic, who would you guys take? Would you guys take Max Crosby or would you guys take a Trey?
Pending physical.
Well, I'm just saying, just in
the physical, right?
just throwing that out there.
Man.
Which guy would you guys take?
Honestly, Max Crosby's more money, and Trey Hendrickson's. I almost want to say just as good, just maybe on the wrong defense.
He's
I don't
a little
know.
older too, isn't he?
Yeah.
Henderson?
So yeah, either one. To be honest, I wouldn't care either way. But the one thing hi Sarah, the one thing I do like is obviously that you got Trey Hendrickson staying in the AFC North. Now the Bengals have no big pass rusher on their defense, so the AFC North kind of remains the same. The Bengals get worse. Bye, Sarah. So, Max Crosby coming here to the AFC North, you got to play him twice a year. With the offensive line, I would have been skeptical, scared, I guess I would say, about him coming in and us having to face him twice a year. But with that offensive line being assured to be pretty dominant this year, I wouldn't be as worried, I guess. Let me put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so Gary's.
I'd like to see the league do something.
Punishment.
I'd like to see the league. Yeah, what they did was unethical, and if if you're gonna make a deal like that, even though the league year hadn't started at that point, I would hate to be. I feel for Raiders fans, man, and that's bullshit what they did.
I agree.
You can't you work a deal out and you announce it. Even though the league year hasn't started, that deal's done, and that messes up the value. That messes up Max Crosby's value. You know what I mean? Any sort of deal that he's going to sign afterwards. With the Raiders now, if they're going to work a deal with him, they're not going to get 2 first-round draft picks for him.
That does mess that up.
That messes that up.
It's like
not only that.
It's like an estimate. It's like an estimate. You get an estimate, and then you see the other guy's estimate, and you're like, okay, well, they wanted to get a roof estimate. They see one guy wants to do it for $20,000. Well, I can give you the same thing for $15,000.
If you're the Browns, do you go and offer pick number 24 for him now?
No.
Why not?
Well, at that point, then pick your next good player available coming up. Why would you? I wouldn't want to take a Max Crosby when we got young guys coming up that we can put in for if you're going to take your next player, not player of need, your next
second round. What about your second round pick?
A second round pick? No.
2 second round picks for him.
I think your first couple rounds you need to stick with and get your stuff going. There's no way. No 1, no 2. And because at 24, you could take your next best player available, but you're going to have a Max Crosby and not taking nothing away from Max.
They're probably going to have to get rid of him because they already spent a ton of money in a free agency. So I don't know what they're going to do. Options are available. I can say that, but I don't want them on Cleveland.
Because
we got to trust the Ravens' physical process, right?
Well, I see what you're saying. He would bookend nice with Miles, but
For
I don't
sure.
want to. I don't want to give up a first or second round stock for him. Not now when we're trying to. We just got a new regime coming in. We're trying to get rebuild this offensive line. We're trying to get an offensive weapon over here. I don't think you go ahead and throw that away to bring over a defensive end of the likes of Max Crosby or anyone. It's a no for me. I don't care who he is. So.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything else on that before we go to touch on the last subject?
No, let's go.
All right, guys. Trade rumor. There's always trade rumors in Cleveland. There's always trade rumors around the NFL, period. Yeah. This one's kind of, at first, it made it sound like we were going to trade a certain quarterback for another quarterback, which is still the case. But trade rumor, Vikings and the Browns. Rumor going around that there is a possibility that the Browns and Vikings are looking for a trade. The trade proposal would be quarterback Dylan Gabriel plus a conditional 2027 first round pick in exchange for quarterback JJ McCarthy after the Vikings signing of Kyler Murray.
A conditional 2027 what?
First round.
Say first?
Yes.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I don't even want JJ McCarthy on the team, and not because he's a Michigan guy by any means. I don't mind Michigan people coming here because when it's the NFL, I get over the whole Michigan thing. Unless you're Logan talking, then I'll argue it. But other than that, I don't mind Michigan people coming here. But I am not a fan of JJ McCarthy. I never was. Last year he threw for 12 touchdowns, 11 interceptions,
enough of these like middling quarterbacks coming in here, man.
And it's just a rumor, but
my thing is, it feels like Gabriel doesn't have a fit here. No. And I think if you can get something for him, because I was talking about this year, if we could get like a 5th round pick for him and something like that, do it. And then let him go have his chance somewhere else, because it's just not, he doesn't seem to be, he's not in here at all in the discussions, anything. He keeps getting left out. So I think maybe we all seen enough of what he could or couldn't do or what he could become. So I think if you could get something for him, and if that's JJ McCarthy coming here and you get a 1st round pick for next year, I think you jump on that.
No, you're not getting a 1st round pick. You're giving up a first.
You're trading that conditional first round pick.
I was like, I thought you guys meant we were going to get a first. No. We'll just trade him on getting that 1st round.
You're trading a conditional 1st round pick with him.
No,
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, there's no way. Where does that rumor come from? Somewhere from Minnesota.
I actually don't remember where I saw that. It was like 1 a.m. last night, and I read that, and I didn't put the source down. So my apologies, but I will be better on that next time. I got to do better.
All right. So Steve Hemrick says he'll do it. Block him. Block him on X. He can no longer even watch our shows anymore if he's going to do that.
Steve, we got to trade a conditional 1st round pick.
Yeah, I heard that wrong, guys. I thought we were going to get a
no. He said he'll trade Gabriel and for McCarthy and a 1st round pick, and then he LOL'd it. So he thinks it's funny too. So he gets double blocked.
I just think we got to get something out of Dylan, and it's not going to be him being a backup quarterback, and it's not going to be him being in the roster. But I think we're going to have another guy here anyway going into this, because I really don't think Dylan's going to be here for training camp. One way or another, I don't think he's going to be here. So you're going to need that 3rd quarterback in there. And so if it's said JJ McCarthy or whoever you're going to bring in, but I don't know, man, giving up a 1st round pick is a total different ball game in 2027. And I don't like that deal.
I think the Guardians need a left-handed reliever.
No. Anyways, guys, real quick, the way a conditional pick works is if a player is traded whose pick is final round or value depends on a specific criteria being met, usually based on a player's performance, playing time, or roster status. For example, a traded 6th round pick might improve to a 5th round pick. The player starts 10 plus games, or if that team makes the playoffs.
There's no condition in which I want JJ McCarthy to turn into a 1st round pick.
No, absolutely not. It won't happen again. I don't believe. I mean, he can get better with scheme change. Maybe that could be a possibility. But injury prone, it seems already in the NFL. I don't want that. I don't want somebody else's first round pick that has not worked whatsoever at all. So Steve says, I think that was Austin Bundy with Fun-Sided wrote about the trade rumor, or Fan-Sided wrote about the trade rumor. I don't remember. It was like 1 a.m. and I'm sick. So I jotted it down because I thought it was funny. I didn't even really look at who wrote it. What an idiot. But
Yes, Steve said no for the trade that Sam said. Yeah, Sam misunderstood. I misunderstood. I thought we were getting rid of Gabriel and getting a first round pick and JJ McCarthy.
I'm going to go take what I think of that trade here in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to end the show there, ladies and gentlemen, because Gary's on a high note there. But yeah, everybody, thank you for joining us. We will be live this Tuesday at 7:30. If anything pops off, we'll be here to let you know about it. Hopefully I will be here. I'm not getting into that part, but hopefully I'll be here. But again, we have the Bearded Browns draft party live at PJ McIntyre's at 17119 Lorraine Road in beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, with the West Park Browns backers and your very truly owned Bearded Browns podcast, guys. April 23rd at 7 p.m. Come down there, have a drink with us. Come down there, eat some food. Come down there and either be disappointed in who we draft or love who we draft. Is this going to be like an Andrew Berry love or hate party?
I just want good draft picks again. and I like last year, man. I mean, it worked out for him, but I was like, all right, good, man, we're finally here. We're ready to go. You know, this is probably 3 hours before it's even time for the draft. We're getting stuff ready. We're hanging out. And they're like, we're trading down. I'm like, oh, gotta wait longer.
We're gonna have so many fun games there. We're gonna play pin the tail on the Jason Lloyd.
Yes, but yeah, guys, come down and join us. We're gonna come up with some cool stuff. We might have some stuff to raffle off there as well. And I think the West Park Browns backers are raffling some things off as well. It's gonna be a fun time. Come down and enjoy it with us. And beautiful Thursday night where the Browns either gonna upset us or make us happy again. To be determined. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you Tuesday, 7:30 sharp. Be here or be square. Until then, go Browns.